Well, I think we're live.
Where's my music?
We must be live.
There's no intro?
I guess not.
No music.
Cold
We're
open.
live. Cold open. It's like SNL. We'll do a political sketch now.
Live from Toronto. It's Thursday night.
It sure is.
Here we are.
And it's us.
Is this an omen to
See.
tonight?
Oh, slow start.
Are we live, Derek?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was interesting.
Holy.
Hey!
Better late than ever. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. It's game day.
Oh, buddy.
Not just any day. Canada versus the U.S. tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Sammy, look at me. Breathe.
Sammy's doing ungood. I'll be honest, he's
In
doing
with
ungood.
the good air, out with the bad. You okay? Can you
No.
do 2 hours of this to get us closer to puck drop?
I booked 3 great guests so you guys could talk. Like, I really am not in a good way today. It's been a day already.
Yeah.
It's only 4 o'clock.
It's been a lot emotionally online. All right. Dude.
3 amazing guests,
Yeah.
all with international experiences for their respective countries. In about half an hour, we'll welcome in Scott Niedermayer, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. At the top of the hour, Olympic gold medalist in 2002, Eric Lindros, will join us as well. And then we got to have a balance here for the USA. We're going to track down, to the best of our abilities, Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah, we are.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good.
Pretty darn good
If
for
we
game day.
cannot get you ready for puck drop, nobody can.
No. And it's possible that nobody can, because I don't think Sam's even ready, so he doesn't want to be here right now.
Okay.
Hey, go ahead, boys. You talk. You set it up. Your names are on the show. You talk.
No. Listen, you've worn the hats before, but the
Yeah.
jersey
Yeah.
This
is
is the first
another
ever.
level.
I've never worn a jersey before.
You're close to being Elaine's boyfriend on Seinfeld.
The devil.
Right?
I mean, I would have painted my face today. I already did put a little makeup on, so that's technically painting my face.
You are this close to being a face painter right now.
I thought I had to show support for
Which
My-
team you for?
my team,
Oh.
or my country. Been under a lot of questions whether it is our country anymore, and there's been a lot of people talking about what's happening. But I thought I'd put on the jersey today.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare that I've never done it, and I decided to do it today. I am terrified of this game tonight, boys. We can get into it. You guys can talk a little bit, but I feel, the Leafs relationship is different. I used to feel like this about the Leafs when I was in my 20s, and it's been beat out of me. But having this, having the stakes, having everything, I have been sick to my stomach since I woke up today. I
Okay.
am deathly
Please
nervous.
come into my
Yeah.
office, lie on the couch, and talk to me.
Yes.
Okay. What are you scared about?
I am scared that the level of winning doesn't match how bad it is to lose. Where you've lost them a Saturday night, and we talked about that a ton, and how much that hurt and how much that sucked and the way that game went and all that stuff. If you win tonight, unbelievable. You win the Four Nations Face-Off Trophy. It's great. You win.
Which is a nothing,
no, it's not.
hunk of-
It's no. We're not going there.
It's
We're not
just a
doing that.
dumb trophy.
We're not doing that right now.
No, we are.
No, just let me finish.
We
We're
are.
not-
Because
Like,
it's not about the trophy.
It's not about the trophy.
That's my whole point.
Okay,
it's
that's fair.
stupid
Sure.
and it's meaningless.
Sure.
It's not about the trophy.
But you're facing either going 1-1 versus the States, right? Where you've beat them once, they've beat you once. Or you're facing going 0-2 against them, and they win this trophy that nobody cares about. According to you, everybody cares about it. It's
Kip's
a,
point is it's not about
it's a
the trophy.
huge stakes hockey game that I can't remember having
Okay.
this feeling about.
You're not getting to the core. Okay?
What's the core?
The core is, what are you scared of now that if they go 0-2, if we have this amazing game and it's just a bad bounce, either late in the game or in overtime,
Yeah.
and they find a way to win the game now, they strip you of,
It's getting to say it's our game.
right? It strips you of your supremacy for hockey in Canada. That's what you're really scared of.
Correct. And I think the record that Canada has against the States in best-on-best tournaments, I think Canada and USA have met 20 times in best-on-best tournaments. Canada's 14-5 in those games with one tie in those games. Here's what I'll say. Canada usually wins this game.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, you look back on all these games that have come to it, and it's USA versus Canada. Canada usually wins this game. But I am terrified what it means for the game I love, for the country I love, what it means if they don't get it. I'm terrified by that.
Is he legit here, or is he just super sensitive and he's just a basket case?
A complete basket case.
Both can be true. I think, there's the hockey standpoint, and then there's the greater Canadian identity standpoint. There is no doubt that the percentage of Canadian hockey players in the NHL is on decline. The American percentage is on the way up. Sam is worried that we have hit where they cross, and the twain never shall meet again. Like, it's over. Like, the Americans are going to pass us. He's afraid we're there. And this has been our identity that it's our game.
The rosters are really close.
Yeah.
They're close.
And they didn't used to be.
Okay, I'll grant you that. But, we're also dealing with a country that has 333 million people to start picking hockey players from.
Yeah.
And we've got 35 million.
And that's what was so amazing about us being dominant.
It is kind of inevitable that they will either close it or...
It is not inevitable. Is the point.
You're not making me feel better here. Is this supposed to be the therapist corner here? You're making me feel worse.
So
you're not doing a great job, brother. I want my money back.
It's okay that you can be that close together, and then you're in a pick 'em kind of situation, which we are in tonight. Are we not in a? What you do? Your bet 365
says yes,
right?
Says we're in a pick 'em.
Split right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Is
there any chance at all that Canada could play a really sound, hard game, lose by an overtime goal, and now we've lost our manhood?
I don't know, because I don't feel that way.
I don't feel that way either.
Yes, but I maybe Sam can answer that better. I still feel like we have the best players on earth, and we could put a second team in this tournament that might win it too, and I still feel good about things.
Interesting. Quite a perspective there, boys. Regardless of what happens tonight, and we are in for, may I say, what is going to be a fabulous hockey game. I don't think there's any way that this game sucks tonight, okay? But your contention here is that it does, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big a deal. Is that what you're saying?
I think if it's a hard-fought game, they look good, they go down swinging, and they lose by... Okay, they can win the Four Nations, and we'll win the Olympic gold next February. Yeah. And then where are we? Right back to where we were before.
I think you, Mr. Therapist, are nudging us down the road to looking at politics, to saying it's not just the Four Nations. You're right. The trophy isn't just the thing. The president's involved. The countries are involved.
He's starting to get smarter. He is. He's always been pretty good. He's always been pretty good. But where he's starting to figure me out just a little bit, and I don't like it.
It is
I don't like it.
Just the trophy, is it?
So this is where we are right now as we go to our first Kipper's Clipper on where politics has seeped in to this week and what's it really done to lead us into this championship game. Let's go to head coach Mike Sullivan from the U.S. Hockey Club to speak on that very subject.
No, I can't. I can only speak for our group. It has not. I think, politics aside, these guys are hockey players. They love to play hockey. They love to compete, and they have a certain pride with respect to their country. And so I think that is the motivation and the inspiration to bring out the best in each individual in our room. I know what this means to these guys. They're vested, and they're looking forward to the opportunity to play tonight.
Left side, second row.
How would you assess Kyle Connor's tournament so far?
So the inspiration isn't annexing Canada to be the 51st state then? I guess different from what some other people were saying?
This is where we will not allow the USA Hockey Club to have their cake and eat it too.
No. And I think what Bill Guerin said, he went on Fox News and made comments that maybe were slightly misconstrued, but he did invite the president, had the president call into Team USA Today, and a reporter asked him, was there any talk of annexing Canada to be the 50th state? And he said, a little
but
bit. It was mostly about, he's like, what do you mean a little? Like, obviously then yes. And then I think Garen and other people, when asked about this, said, but it's not about that. It's not about politics. It's about the hockey teams. And it's like, you can't just suddenly take a lot of heat for making it political and say, well, now it's not about politics. You drag the politics into it.
I'm so with you on this, 100%. You don't get to have a president pump up the boys with we're going after Canada Zoom call today or audio call, whatever you want to call it, and then turn around and get to tell us, well, we just want to focus on hockey. We don't really want to. No. That's not the way it works. Mm-hmm. You want to drag in a president that wants to strip us of our country on a day of a hockey game, then you know what? The boys are fair game.
Yeah.
They're fair game. And you don't get to hide off of no comment to me. You know? Like, so that's where it opens up for the media. And I've been around this thing for like 25 years. I don't think they're going to go away. I think some of those guys have to answer the question on, do you support this? Is this part of the strategy to be motivated to go win Canada over?
And I think, Kip, that maybe part of this is the coaches trying to keep the players focused on what matters, the forecheck, the power play. This is just about hockey, whatever. But by doing this, you have inflamed the political tensions around your room, which you're right, will eventually lead to interviews, questions, whatever.
And I think it's a problem for the NHL.
Do you?
Oh, yeah, I do. We've got American players that play in Canada.
Captains, Brady Tkachuk and Austin Matthews in Ontario here.
Austin, you're the captain of the team.
What do you think?
Well, Austin, what do you think? I got no comment. Let's is it going to be left alone now? You invited it. Yeah. Your program invited the political angle in on this. And for some in the media, it just might not be enough to say no comment. Mm-hmm. You're playing in Canada. You're working in Canada. You're earning a living in Canada. How do you feel about it, Austin?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the fact that your president wants to take over Canada?
Yeah.
And how many jobs that could be potentially lost in this country because of it? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. No, I have no rebuttal to that. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because Cooper has a quote too, and we have a Cooper line on this subject where he says something similar to Sullivan, that it's not about this bigger thing, it's about hockey. Am I right? Is that sort of the tenor of the
before we play that clip?
Yeah.
Can I just pose something to you that the way this game has been built up in the United States and the president calling into them and like you said, ESPN Maine, like everything, it's all hands on deck there for this. And everyone's talking about it, the big number down there. I saw a clip of Matthew Tkachuk FaceTiming with Charles Barkley in the locker room before the game. He's like, we have to win it. We have to win it. That's what he's saying. To the point earlier in the week about getting asked if they're underdogs, I do think that as much pressure as there is here in Canada on this Canadian roster to perform and to win, I think this storm around USA has created such a massive amount of pressure for them going into this game. Mm-hmm. They have so much at stake with all these new eyeballs watching, with all these new fans after the 3 fights and all that stuff. The amount of pressure that they have on them is immense. How could it not be?
I can't disports with that either.
The president's calling you. You're talking about taking over Canada.
JJ Watt's tweeting about it. It's
pardon my take, the biggest sports podcast in America. They're having a live view. They flew in some random Canadian. They're doing like a live viewing of the hockey game tonight. Like, this is their big chance. And on the other side, you have Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, Sidney Crosby, all guys that have not said one thing about this. They haven't waded into this. They haven't made it about the politics. All they've been talking about is winning a hockey tournament. And it's two very different things that adds a lot to it. I think there's a ton of pressure on these American guys. There is.
That's a valid point.
Great.
Well
said.
Listen, it also could be me being like, there's more pressure on them. Like, Canada doesn't even care about this. But, like, I am really interested to see how they respond. And they have they only have the 3 cup winners on their team, right? We've talked about this ad nauseum.
And you know what? It kind of disappoints me that this thing is kind of turned into a little bit of this political circus.
Yeah.
And while everybody wants to jump on ratings and great for the game and, all of that, let's face it, like, the attention that this has gotten now isn't because Connor McDavid's such a great skater. It's because America woke up when they found out that we booed their anthem. That's what started this whole thing.
Well, I don't know about that.
Look at the ratings in the first games.
Yeah.
They were normal ratings. And then it jumps from 700,000 people to... No, it's not.
Yes, because it's Canada, USA.
We booed the U.S. anthem. That was the lead.
It's a piece of the juice.
Not the sports. Not, hey, last night's scores. It was on every major media channel across the U.S. It led with the booing. That's what started this thing.
Listen, it's been 9 years since our country has played their country, and that was going to be a big game, whether we had booed it or not. The numbers it did, over 10 million people watched that game internationally.
After the booing.
Well, yeah. What was it going to be pre-booing?
700,000?
Yeah, you had 9.3 million people tuned in for booing?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Give it some credit. Why don't you want to give this tournament any credit? This has been a long-awaited, their best against our best. That's all we've wanted to see.
But that's not that.
There's
it's
no doubt this is
politically
juice for it.
driven.
Certainly in Canada.
Okay.
You know what? They don't even know how sensitive we are about this annexation stuff. It's a joke there. They don't even take Trump seriously. They don't know how touchy we are about this, which we should be. But it's a layer, man.
It's a layer.
And which is why when you go online today and you tweet, the Trizzy train is coming about Canada, about Trump potentially coming here, you're going to be in hot water.
And again, that's where some people, if they want to jump on this bandwagon of attention and stuff, you're really putting yourself out there. That's what happened to PK Subban today, right? With what did he call Trump's?
Yeah, the Trizzy train is what he called. He shared Trump's tweet, and which says that maybe soon we'll be the 51st state and the Governor Trudeau and all that. And he says the Trizzy train is coming. Yeah, stay tuned.
And that's opened up a lot of backlash on PK, and one of them's from an ex-teammate.
Yeah, Kemalou. Kemalou has like a 7-paragraph takedown.
He took a pretty good run at him.
He did.
But that's
you open yourself up.
But that goes to show you the temperature, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm hearing some executives who were planning on going there aren't going there because they don't want to get caught up in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, and I think this probably, and I can't speak to this, I wasn't alive, but I imagine the Summit Series picked up intensity, ferocity. Canada losing some of the early games, I'm sure gave it some juice as it went on. But you hear people talk about the Summit Series now as one of the seminal moments in international hockey history. And that would have been a made-up tournament, which is a thing that bothers me when people say, because they're all made up. And it became something that meant something, and this has become something that means something. And yeah, you're right. I get why people want to just kind of, I don't want to be the one to touch the stove and get my hand burned, so I'm going to keep my hands behind my back, which might be the right move for some of these guys.
All right, let's go to Mike Sullivan again, head coach of the USA team, on the impact that it's having in his country right now, this series.
Well, we're trying to win a game first and foremost, so we're digging in here. And we're spending a lot of time with our team, our coaches. We're doing everything we can to try to set our group up for success. That's part of it. Having said that, I've got more phone calls and texts in the last couple of days from people that I haven't heard from in a long time, and I think that's just an indication of the impact that this tournament has had. I think and I've said this on more than one occasion, it's an incredible celebration of hockey. These are the very best players in the game. These are the guys that, these are the savants that when they bring their creativity and their brilliance to what they do out there, that's how the game evolves. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're witnessing firsthand. I feel like I have the best seat in the house because I'm up close to it right behind the bench.
He's saying the right thing.
I got to tell you, I've listened to a ton of Mike Sullivan throughout this tournament, and this will be the last nice thing I say about Team USA, but I like him.
Mhm.
Like I really, he's concise. He's a good speaker. Other than saying Quinn Hughes is coming, which was probably the dumbest thing he could have ever said.
He must have been fed some.
He's
bad-
got some bad info.
Yeah.
Billy Guerin was too busy talking to Fox News about Trump to give him the right info or whatever. But yeah, I really liked him, the way stuff he said.
And he was a lot closer to maybe becoming a Boston Bruin head coach one day than he is today, because
Right.
the Boston Bruins are absolutely furious with Team USA on Charlie McAvoy.
Yeah.
They are ballistic.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah. So it's not good.
Have you heard anything more on that? Because I mean, that Frege clip from our show yesterday.
Yeah,
was-
Frege-
He was as direct about that
Broke
as
the
I've ever heard him
story.
be
Yeah.
about anything.
And basically had a shoulder injury.
Mhm.
And if I'm not mistaken, they gave him a shot. I think they tried to freeze it, to be honest with
Is
you.
that right?
I'm sitting there
that
going,
already's bad to hear.
and
Ugh.
I'm going like Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs or a final. Yeah, we freeze.
They tried
An
to freeze it to play in
exhibition
this
game Saturday night,
with this playoff spot in the line for
and then
the
it
club.
gets infected.
Mm.
Oh my God. They have every right to be pissed if that's how that played out. That's
Yeah,
Pretty.
like but like, why are we shooting up guys for an exhibition series here?
Well, because he obviously was dying to play in
well,
that game.
yeah, that's it. Is that these guys don't view it as NHL exhibition game. This is obviously more meaningful.
So
I know you don't want people to care about this. They do.
No, I'm not saying that they shouldn't care about this. I'm saying that we got to rethink about putting the guys in this position moving forward here.
Yeah.
You want to do this every 2 years,
Mhm.
and we're gonna have the guys play like this? Come on.
This is wild.
Do you-
this is
Mark my words. This will become a hot button topic moving forward.
Oh,
on
you're right.
What
You're
we're
right.
going to do, how we're going to do it. Like this Charlie McAvoy story will not go away, because this is not the way you want teams' biggest assets to be treated.
No.
And the Boston Bruins, I think, should be in a
Would
position
they have been
going,
consulted?
that's a good question, and I can't answer that. I don't know,
they
right?
would have had to.
But there is
they have?
But, like, if not-
talk that they may have done this on their own. USA Hockey may have maybe made the decision. There were Minnesota doctors, and I hear good things about the staff, the doctors, that when you put a needle in anybody's body, there's always a risk of infection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
to
know.
take that
I don't
risk,
know. I don't know.
To your point.
I don't know if Boston's not acting like they knew,
Right.
is my point.
It's crazy.
I guess to a hockey note, Travis Konechny's out for Seth Jarvis tonight. Since we are a hockey show,
I know. And there is so much there from the hockey side of things.
Do you want to get Cooper's thoughts on the effect in the room?
No.
Okay,
I
we'll
know.
move
Are
on.
we
then.
done politics?
Well, I mean, like,
All right.
It's.
I don't know. You clipped it.
I did, but it feels like
We beat it up.
We kind of beat it up a
Okay.
little bit. I mean,
All right.
we got a break here shortly for Niedermayer anyway. But the big news, I guess, today for on the ice is that Konechny's coming out for Seth Jarvis, and the coach talked about it. Can we get clip 1, please, Cooper?
He's going to replace Konechny tonight, and the same reason. There's a lot of why it was reversed the last game, and just needs and wants, and it's we built this team to win, and everybody's going to have to chip in their own ways. Some chip in some games, some chip in others, and some chip in all of them, and they've all been a big part of why we're sitting here, and it was ultimately it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He is.
Yeah.
Seth Jarvis?
Seth Jarvis is a heck of a player.
Wish Mark Scheifele was drawn in tonight.
I like
being
him a
totally
lot,
honest.
but he's not growing any bigger than he did earlier in the tournament.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is he does feel like a pretty tenacious guy. Hopefully, the USD is not big and imposing. No Charlie McAvoy. It does feel like one of those guys could have a night tonight. With the other, surely they're going to be matching Slavin against McDavid, likely the Werenski pair against McKinnon. Like maybe he's able to get a matchup and have a moment. It's it could be anyone's night tonight. I don't think there's going to be a lot of offense. So I know Sammy's.
I really
Does that?
I don't think you can, just as a hockey conversation, the swing of Saturday night from Charlie McAvoy out to Makar in, the way that swings these two rosters is what helps me sleep at night.
Yeah.
I really do think the lack of him. But then you worry about Binnington, who is still the goalie tonight, right? He's starting tonight. They didn't fly in Logan Thompson. That part of it still scares me, but having Makar really does make me feel a little bit better.
Hellebuck's had a number of bad playoffs in a row.
I know.
So I don't know how you feel about this guy has a big ego and has played in big moments and had success versus Hellebuck's been great, but had some soft moments.
Yeah.
I don't know which you'd rather have.
I do agree with go big or go home with Binnington from start to finish.
So at this point, you have to go
there might be something about him that's just he's cocky enough to maybe get away with.
Gives you confidence.
Just squirrely enough to get in there.
Something, and if we look back on it, we're going to look at 4 games, and if he's left his best for last, then it works.
Yeah.
And was it Valley who talked about to win the Stanley Cup in St. Louis, he had some bad games, but when it counted, he came through.
It was Carter.
Carter.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Carter. And all he needs is one good game out of 4.
And you do feel like because of that confidence, he's not nervous in the big moments. Like he's going to be able to give his best.
Please.
Hey, he I think Carter said he gave up 5 the game before he goes into Boston.
He did.
And beats the Bruins in Game 7.
Yeah.
That's got to make him feel good in that building.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. He was also played in the pressure cooker of the OHL Finals Game 7 when my own sound attack beat the St. Michael's Majors in Game 7 overtime.
Huge.
He was in net for that too.
I'll just say, if one of the teams, if we're sitting here tomorrow and one of the teams has won 4-1, 5-0, it would be much more shocking for the U.S. to have done it to Canada than Canada to do it to the U.S. because we do have the best players. Connor McDavid could go off. McKinnon could go off. Makar can go off. If one of these teams, and so you have to feel better anytime you feel like your team has a higher ceiling to get to in these games. So, I think they're 51% favorites.
Oh, my God. We should go.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, 4-time Stanley Cup champion Scott Niedermayer will join us, and he'll get us set up. He'll have that calming influence on our Sammy after the break. More Real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Canada and U.S. set to meet tonight in a final of a best-on-best tournament for the first time since 2010 Olympics. With that, let's welcome in Scott Niedermayer, Olympic gold medalist. Of course, twice, and a Stanley Cup champion, and a guy that may know something about a Canada-U.S. matchup. Scott, thanks for joining us. Any plans tonight at all?
I don't know. Is there something on TV? Yeah, no, looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun. Should be a great game, obviously.
And you're out west, right? You're in California?
We're in British Columbia.
You're in British Columbia. And what is the
vibe? We're in Canada.
Yeah, there you go.
We're on the good side. We're on the good side of the line here.
What is the vibe out there in terms of either your neighborhood, your community? What's the feeling been like over the buildup of this thing?
Yeah, I think people have been a bit surprised with just the level of hockey and the sort of the level of intensity that these games are being played with. This weekend, I was on the road with my youngest son coaching, and we were playing during the game against the U.S., and people were just going crazy looking at their phones, watching the highlights at the start of the game. So this game's really got a good build-up, and I think everybody's going to be tuned in tonight.
So we spoke with Eric Lindros today, and we'll run that interview a little bit later in the show. But one of the questions I asked him was just, what's the difference in the feel playing in a winner-takes-all single game, playing for Canada versus some of those Stanley Cup final games you would have played in?
Well, I mean, it's like you said, winner take all. There isn't a tomorrow. It's a game 7. There's no room for mistakes. Leave it all on the line, all those things, and it's all true. And needless to say, there's a lot of emotion leading into a game like this, a lot of anticipation, a bit of nerves. And the more you've been in it, I think it can benefit you. And I'm sort of going to bank on that tonight, where you got some Canadian guys that have been in these type of games one way or another. And I think that's going to bode well for their performance tonight.
Scott, when you talk about managing expectations, when you represent your country compared to maybe managing the expectations of a city you represent in a Stanley Cup playoffs, is there much of a margin for you?
I wouldn't say there's a big one. I think when you get to the top of the pile, going for a medal, for your country, or you're going for a Stanley Cup championship, the emotion, the intensity is at the highest level. You have to bring everything you have to sort of that situation. So it's a bit different. There obviously is a different feel when you're playing for a country, and you're kind of aware of that on an intellectual sort of mindset, that type of thing. But as a player, I think it's a matter of getting out there, being focused, and trusting what you have to do out there to help your team succeed.
Scott, you played with Drew Doughty during the 2010 Olympics. He's still involved in a very meaningful hockey game here. What are your thoughts on his game then and now?
Yeah, I mean, time just flies. Obviously, I think of him exactly that, as a young guy, young teammate, that stepped in and kind of brought that youthful enthusiasm to our team in Vancouver. And here he is, the elder statesman, back on the blue line. So I think he'll, be a level head out there. He's been in Stanley Cups, won Stanley Cups before, been in the Olympics, had success there. So I think he'll be one of those guys that's been in a situation like this before. He'll bring the emotion, he'll bring the intensity, but he'll understand how to use it to help his team and help himself perform.
Scott, when I picture you or remember you representing Canada, you were that defenseman that could control the game, pace of play. Cale Makar is similar in that scenario. We saw a game Saturday night where the USA team got the lead and then just shut the door down. I mean, how does a guy like Cale, or your experiences over the years, when there's not that much room out there and you may want to do something you think is there or isn't there, how do you pick your spots when you're a go-to guy like yourself?
Yeah, I think that's something you do learn as a young player. You make some mistakes when you're younger, and you can't afford to make mistakes in a game like tonight. And I think that's a great question. I think Cale has been in some of these big games. He understands, the fine line there. He knows what he can do, and at the right time, the nature of the game, the score, the time, all those things will go into sort of his decision making. He's got a lot of talent up front to get the puck to. He really isn't obviously going to be relied on to do everything for that team. The subtle little plays he can make, breaking pucks out of our own end, out of the D zone, offensively supporting the attack, getting shots to the net, that type of thing can be the difference. Oftentimes it is one subtle little play, or everybody on the ice chips in with something that makes a difference in a game like this, and he understands that, I'm sure.
Scott, when the stakes are this high, like I read a great book by Dr. Dana Sinclair, who we had on, the sports psychologist, and it's called Dialed In. And when the moments are this big, did you ever find yourself drifting from the hockey game to be and almost like being aware of where you are, what it's worth, or were you able to stay in the game all the time?
I think when you're performing at your best, you're in the moment. There's no question about that. I think at times in a moment like this, you can kind of, what if I make a mistake? What if something bad happens? I think that's not a good state to be in either. You have to trust the work you've done. You have to trust your teammates, yourself, the game plan, and just be immersed and focused on that the whole way through, and then let it play out as it will. So I think that those are good questions. Probably one of the big challenges of a moment like this for all people involved, the players and coaches even, I think, for managing through this. But like I said, I think the guys that have been through this, it is an advantage in how to handle those type of situations and be where you need to.
One of the things I think that you probably didn't experience that these guys are experiencing today is just this political, the political landscape of what's going on off the ice between Canada and the U.S. If by chance Canada pulls this off, do you think maybe it could feel close for Canadians, a golden goal kind of feel that we all had in 2010?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, you know, the president south of the border, he's not afraid to stir up some controversy, get his name in the headlines. He kind of does that every 5 or 10 minutes. And obviously we've become a target here, and I think we have a lot of pride. And I've been really actually impressed just by how Canadians have sort of banded together and shown that pride over the last few weeks with what's going on. And I absolutely think it would mean more, to win tonight. I think that would just be another, part of our pride and going forward as a country and what we're all about. And, I always say hockey's maybe the ultimate team game where you rely on others. You don't take all the credit yourself. And that would be the way Canada wins here tonight for sure.
So you were on the ice for the golden goal. Am I correct in saying that?
I was on the ice. If you go back even a little further on the highlight, which is usually cut off, I gave a puck away in our own zone. Luongo made a save. Then I recollected it and gave it to Sid, and he went down, and that's where the highlight starts. But that's hockey. You have to be able to, bounce back and, trust your teammates. Luongo did his thing there. When I made a mistake, he bailed me out, and the rest is history. So
did you see it go in?
Yeah, I was kind of sneaking down into the high slot. I was wide open. I probably yelled for the
Were you actually?
By mistake, but it was pretty cool to see. I have a really good memory of the puck hitting the back pad of the net because the angle I was coming in, the net was empty, and I could just see the puck hit the back there, which needless to say was a good sight.
Anything in particular when you're in a scenario of one game winner take all? The feelings that, or the words that were uttered prior to the game, or even in between periods to calm the nerves down, could it be similar to what they're experiencing tonight?
That's an important part for sure. The preparation. Sometimes maybe you get distracted or away from what you normally do. I think you have to keep it as consistent as you normally would. The emotion and intensity of the moment is going to make that a challenge, but ultimately that's your job. Trust what you've done, trust the preparation, trust your habits of what you do as a hockey player and as a team, and go out there and do it as well as you can. And I think that's the best way to try and win a game like this.
I think we trust it a lot more if you could suit up tonight.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I feel good. I feel good about it. I think there's guys there that know what they're doing. We're in good shape.
Love it.
Really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us on such a special night here. Scott, thanks for doing this, pal.
No problem. Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much.
4-time Stanley Cup champion Scott Niedermayer, 2-time Olympic gold medalist.
First in to hug Sid, I'm told, from Sam McKee.
Correct. I have in my office, where I do Leafs Talk from, I have a massive picture right beside me of Sid with his hands in the air and the first guy with the arm around him, number 27, Scott Niedermayer. And if you're watching on YouTube or Sportsnet, the reason there's an A on this Sidney Crosby jersey that I'm wearing today, the C was on our guest that we just had there. So he was the captain.
Of that
He
squad.
was the Sydney of the room.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just watched the clip, which I really enjoy usually.
Yeah.
Wide open's a stretch. Like it would have been quite a pass to make there.
But he could have gave it to him?
100%. He was coming down the chute wide open. And I love him talking about him having a great angle.
Yeah.
Because he did.
Yeah.
He was right between, like just above the hash mark. So we would have seen it hit hard in first.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is, so last night I watched Sportsnet's behind the scenes on the Four Nations, and they got the coaches mic'd up. And one of the things John Cooper says, and he yells it several times over, is be selfish, be selfish, be selfish.
Yes.
He's trying to say to these guys, we're not he wants Sid to shoot that.
Yeah.
He's not looking for the cutesy one to Niedermayer. And that's the game where they show him yelling that, where McDavid shoots it in off the post, McKinnon shoots a couple in. Be selfish. This is one of the themes, and you don't know how many shots you're going to get or opportunities, so pull the trigger.
I do have an issue a little bit with I saw some like saying this is the biggest game on Canadian soil. I think it was Frank Cervelli that tweeted it's like the biggest game on American soil since 1980. And he explained it's just like, there will never. Like, this is an incredible tournament, and this is going to be a huge moment for whoever wins this. But 2002 to me, and even ahead of 2010,
Salt Lake, yeah,
will always be the most meaningful. And maybe it's just the age I was at, or maybe whatever it is. But it's just all the players that were involved and just everything that happened. Like, this is a monumental sports event, and I don't want to take anything away from it.
No, but it doesn't have the history of Canada chasing a gold medal for 50 years.
Yeah.
2002 is a massive, and everybody Canadian listening to it, it is. Yeah. It just is. Like, this is huge. Now, don't get me wrong.
Do you want to weigh in on that before I go on my little spiel here?
I can't wait for yours.
My spiel is I have been seeing people say, and Connor Bedard said this, that this is the highest level hockey ever played. And so for me, it's like, oh, come on. And then you sit back and you go, when has there ever been this collection of talent playing with that level of effort and intensity? If you believe that the game has increasingly got better year over year, it's reasonable to say that this is the best hockey ever played.
Again, though, like, it's just the eye of the beholder.
Yep.
Like, I don't need every guy skating 1,000 miles an hour just to go to the wrong place. Yeah. I mean, it's what you think is the ingredients.
Because it will settle in and be a hockey game.
It's whatever the ingredients that you think that you like about your hockey game.
Yep.
And Connor's how old? 19? Bedard?
Yeah, he's
Connor. He's like,
whatever.
He hasn't been around to see too much, but in his eyes, I certainly get it.
Yeah.
And
like no NHL team can rival that level of talent trying that hard.
If it's the fastest, it would go down as one of the fastest games or tournaments that we've ever seen. But is it greatest?
Yeah.
Can I read you the lines from the 2002 team when somebody says that?
Yeah.
Korea, Lemieux, Yzerman, top line. Gagne, Sakic, Iginla, Shanahan, Nieuwendyk, Fleury, Lindros, Nolan, Pekka, Ryan Smith is your extra, Pronger, McInnes, Niedermayer, Foote, Jovanovski, Blake, with Brodeur, Joseph, and Belfour in net. Just
that's the best Canadian team ever assembled.
Unbelievable hockey team.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think this is great. It's fast. It's upbeat, but it's not.
Just even Saturday night, the other day we went at it pretty good. I'm like, after the U.S. went up, I saw a lot of kind of not incredible hockey. I saw a lot of shutting down. I saw a lot of star players not getting near the net.
Well, but see, this is what's going to happen tonight is everyone's all fired up for this game, but it's an hour of hockey. And eventually, you can't run out of position in a neutral zone forecheck. You drop back into your spots. You can cut a guy off and run interference, and it slows down. Puck gets done. It'll be hockey at some point. And people are going to go, God, I thought this was supposed to be whatever. And it's like, it's not a drag race. Yeah. It's an hour of hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So,
to Scott's point, we're going to hear Eric Lindros in a few minutes here at the top of the hour. These guys know you pick your spots.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sometimes when you got to sit back. You got to manage the clock, or you got to manage the situation, and you got to go risk reward. And I'm not willing to jump up on this play. So it may look bad for you for the next minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but I'm not making the mistake.
And to go back to that show last night, one of the things Cooper says is you don't have to, and you can't win every shift. The goal is to tie every shift or win them, but not lose any. So you're always making the conservative choice in hopes you win 7 of them and you lose 0 of them. But that means there's going to be 50 ties or whatever it works out to after that. A lot of tied shifts. A tie's okay. A tie, you're playing for the next guy to get him on a good spot. Next thing I want to ask you about is about the crowd, which is going to be more split down the middle, right? Like Montreal crowd was Canada. And I imagine the crowd won't seem as good tonight because they'll be cheering for different things much more than in Montreal.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, is it going to be predominantly Americans in there?
I would imagine there's going to be some Canucks down there, boys.
Like if it's 20,000, like
I'll tell you something.
12,000 Americans,
the weather hasn't helped anybody. The fact that Toronto's a major hub,
you can't get anywhere.
Has not helped anybody in North America.
Yeah, so maybe
get
be
to
more
Boston.
American crowd. I mean,
Seth Jarvis's friends drove 30 hours, didn't they?
No. Wasn't it 30 of them?
I thought it was whatever. There's a 30 involved.
Yeah.
I hope it's a split at best. It would be fun that Canada and the
It'd be
players
fun to have a pro-American crowd.
had us against the world.
Okay.
We got a couple of Coop clips, which.
I just wanted to ask you guys a question,
Okay.
and it's a very philosophical one. Heading in, because we are in our Leafs hour, after all.
Oh boy.
So Saturday night, game 56, Carolina Hurricanes, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
How the hell am I supposed to care about that?
This
has
has
been
fun.
This has been the most supercharged, emotionally, politically, hockey for 2 weeks here, where I've lost sleep over these games. I've been sick to my stomach. I haven't felt like this for Leafs playoffs.
Steven Lorenzen a bit.
I haven't
Who
thought
we
like
love, by the way.
I saw a clip. I don't know, like Leafs latest, which is like they aggregate all the Leafs stuff, do a fantastic job. And I saw them put out like a board, being like, Craig Berube really praised Matthew Knies. I'm like, oh my God, how am I supposed? Who cares? Who cares?
Buddy, you should care because Knies will be on the American
I
team a year
know,
from
great. Just another one I get to cheer.
You know
for.
what I'm interested in?
now. He will for sure now that I think about it. Why wasn't he there?
Of these guys, who's playing and who's not playing on the weekend?
Matthews will play neither. That is my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing.
You think?
Why wouldn't he play?
Well, if he's hurt, he's forcing it for tonight. Said he wouldn't miss this game for the world.
Don't start with me. Don't start with me. No.
If you wanted to have a Leafs talk.
he's good enough to play tonight, and nothing significant happens to him. These guys, like, they're fighting for playoff spots. Okay, they're getting paid tens of millions of dollars. Season ticket holders have put investments in the NHL season. I just paid. Maybe I'm going to my first game ever on the weekend, and the Stars are taking off.
Yeah.
That's not the way the business should work.
May I present to you a load management? This is the NBA. Here's the best players in the world who don't
wanna
play
hear it.
10 games a year.
I don't-
20 games. Well,
I don't
want to hear it.
Just plug the ears. I think there's a chance that, okay, Matthews, they play at home on Saturday against Carolina. The beloved season ticket holders who won't get out of their seats for one moment for anything in the game, they'll be having sushi. For them, he'll play that game. And then the second half of back-to-back in Chicago maybe misses that. Is that fair? Would that be okay? Or no?
If they come out and say he's lower body, upper body, day-to-day, I may let it get away with.
Rest management?
I hear some steaks for the boys tonight, by the way.
I hear precautionary, and I'm like, get your ass on the ice.
A load management.
Okay?
Okay. Hey,
They're
I'm glad we hashed that out.
They're going to manage his.
He's playing.
Oh, my God.
He's playing.
Yeah, there's no. Is there any prominent Leafs on either team, boys? Is there anything happening tonight?
You want to hear
Do you wanna
an
mention
Ottawa
this?
Senator fan wants to hear that Brady Tkachuk's taking the weekend off,
Well,
Brady probably should. He's been sick, right?
and they lose by a point.
Yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough. Some high stakes for old Matthews and Marner tonight. And in the eye of public perception, I would say everyone would like to see nice performances from the Leafy
You're
boys.
always going to have guys that are stars from their respective clubs playing this over the course of 40 or 50 years where the points don't support it or their roles aren't as important as other star players. And I'm sure they'll be good tonight, but will it satisfy Leaf fans that they're not the stars?
Can I be honest? I hope Matthews has a dreadful game. I hope I hope he can't touch the puck. I want
his injury.
I want 0 points -5. That's what I'm praying for tonight.
Well, this concludes
Go,
our Leaf.
Mitch, go! God.
This concludes our Leaf edition of our program. All right, we go national next. We'll welcome in Eric Lindros. We had a conversation earlier. We can't wait to play that for you as we continue to get you ready for the big matchup between Canada and the USA tonight, Four Nations Tournament. Whew. Don't go away. 3 hours till puck drop and what will be a matchup between Canada and the U.S. who meet in the final of a best-on-best tournament for the first time since 2010 Olympics. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz with you with the next hour. So we are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. Sammy, in with the good air, bad with the out.
Bad with the outies.
Bad with the bad air.
I think what we decided to do is to open the show with you guys get to watch 3 fights in 9 seconds. Kip, me, Sammy, we're all going to just have a brawl.
You know how I felt
You want one?
in yesterday's show on we started something, let's finish it. But do you really expect a physical start?
You know what I do expect? I think a lot of Americans who heard about the 3 fights in 9 seconds and are now tuning in tonight, you got to give them one. I think they want one. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it helps the game. I don't know if it's anyone's purpose, but I bet there's some American boys who think we got to give them one.
As Cooper Sullivan work on their game sheets on starting, like it sets the tone.
It does. Yeah, you know what?
This is not
This
your
decision
typical
is made
starter.
in the coach's office. That's true. And who's the visiting team tonight? I think it's Canada. So they'll have to submit their lineup first, which will
Bennett.
Well, Bennett starts.
Bennett.
Bennett, Hagel, Marchand.
This is not a hockey play.
That's how I start. In Boston. Make the fans feel a little weird about it. Put him out there. He's not going to play a ton tonight, I would imagine, but sort of get him out there, let him rat it up. Like having him out there to start.
In a few minutes, we'll throw to an interview we just conducted just a little while ago with Eric Lindros, Olympic gold medalist in 2002, Hockey Hall of Famer. He'll help us tee up the game as well. If you didn't catch Scott Niedermayer in our first hour, go to your podcast. It'll be up soon. YouTube.
Who said, and I quote, "I was open on the golden goal, Sidney Crosby, coming down the slot. No one's even looked. Take a look at the highlights.
He was.
Sit at him."
How could he look him off?
Minimal changes to the lineup. Seth Jarvis is in. Konechny is out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go to Cooper on that?
We played it in the first hour. We can play it again. Yeah, if you want to play it again for the national audience, we can play it again. Clip one from Cooper.
He's going to replace Konechny tonight, and the same reason there's a lot of why it was reversed the last game, and just needs and wants, and it's we built this team to win, and everybody's going to have to chip in their own ways. Some chip in some games, some chip in others, and some chip in all of them, and they've all been a big part of why we're sitting here, and it was ultimately it.
I do want to say, for everyone who, we mentioned Niedermayer in the first hour, we did a half an hour on the political side of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so to check out that first hour, if you're into that flair of it, because that is a piece of this. For some people, it's a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Let me ask you this.
And I don't want to take away from the great hockey that we've seen, and some of the best players in the world are at it, but this thing's gone completely to another level.
Can I ask you guys that in his wildest dreams, and we had Gary Bettman on before I don't know when that was, but we had him on, and we talked a little bit about this, and he was excited for it. But boys, in his wildest dreams, he could not have pictured this.
No.
Like he could, like, his best case scenario for this is like 6 levels below what has happened with this tournament.
Yeah.
And you listen, you may not love it with the Trump stuff and the team and all the things that's going on with the Canadian team, but this has been beyond a rousing success for the NHL.
I mean, I don't know what an ad it is for this event when Trump tweets about it, but it doesn't hurt public awareness that it's going on. So I'm sure the higher ups at the NHL are pretty cool with it, and they're like, "Oh no, Charlie McAvoy." Well,
the only thing is what can you truly take? What can you drag out of this series and take it to the NHL?
Sammy said just these 2 teams specified,
right? Like, are Americans now going to be expecting 3 fights in 9 seconds to start most NHL games? Do we have to start focusing on more passion out of the players, more fighting out of the players to continue to draw the interest down there?
Well, I do think that there was a concerted effort to clean the game up in terms of some of the physical stuff, right? Some of the blindside hits and some of the other elements, having guys on the bench who only fought, right? There's no more pure enforcers. There's no more blindside. So maybe, okay, go ahead.
They're not even calling penalties in this thing.
No, they're just have at 'em, boys.
Which is
figure it out.
Nothing like
It's amazing.
what we've seen in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
But they're not going to love that if no one scores tonight because everyone's running interference. You know, like you might have to blow
But
a couple
you're
whistles.
saying you love the way the game is called.
I'm saying it's been great, but I'm saying if the players know it's going to be called like that all the time, it probably changes how they act.
Wait till they get back to the ticky-tacky calls, and then everybody's screaming, like, that's not like Four Nations. We want it like Four Nations.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the case.
Can I be honest? I don't want to do the Four Nations anymore. This is too much stress in my heart.
I'm like, over.
I'm just like, can we flip a coin tonight, and I can just go on with my life after this? Like, this has been so much stress. I think a lot of people
Tough
feel
day
it.
to be online if you care.
Connor,
Yes.
Connor, I think he mentioned, I don't want a Four Nations. I want more teams. I want.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe would more teams add to less stress?
I don't know. You want to bring Russia in? See if there's less stress, less geopolitical drama then. Jesus. I'm not sure that helps because that's what you're talking about when you say more countries.
To me, it's either 8 teams or these 2 teams 5 times.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, you don't need to do 4. You don't need to do 6. You need to do a big thing or just have these 2 teams play.
Whether we have 4, 6, or 8 teams the next time around, can we just figure out
who gets to play?
Who's on the team? This Quinn Hughes thing was
Circus.
Like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
this is where I give Jimmy Rutherford a ton of credit here because he said to the press, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whatever it was, that the call is on Quinn Hughes.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He'll tell us if he's good enough to go or not go. He ends up doing the right thing, saying, I'm not going. And then they draw him back into it. The USA Hockey draws back into it to the point where Mike Sullivan's saying he's coming. And then Jimmy puts the hammer down.
See, I don't think that's what happened.
Oh, I know it. That's how it's happened.
I think the NHL didn't want to make the choice of allowing him to step in or not allowing him to step in. So they said to the Canucks, do us a favor, make him ineligible.
Whatever the case is, Jimmy said, you're not going.
Yeah, I think
the Vancouver Canucks shut him down.
Sure. I think it was a courtesy to the league. That's what I think.
It was, I am no longer leaving it in your hands, Quinn.
For sure. The Canucks made that call. How they got to that conclusion the same day he put on a full contact jersey.
Chicanery at foot?
But they're not doing him a favor because then they just turned around and invited Tage Thompson and
yeah, but those guys
somebody
definitely
else.
can't play. They
right?
definitely can't play.
Yeah, Brett Pesce.
But they could play if somebody got sick.
Yes, but Quinn could have played without that because he was on the original roster. He
Could
had
he
a
have?
loophole.
Is that true?
He was on the first roster they made. He was one of the 4 guys they named. They named him to the team. He could have played. Had the NHL.
So why would they not have wanted him down there then?
The NHL. Because once they replaced him when he said he was injured and not coming, is he on the roster or is he not on the roster anymore? That's where it got vague. And it would have upset people to say they changed the rules. They just let this guy come in. It saved a whole circus.
To your point, Kyper, I'm sure there's some Vancouver fans that the way the things have gone this year with, speaking of circuses, the way things have gone, I'm sure there's a lot of them that are like, maybe just let him go so he likes us and he wants to stay here. Like, maybe just let him go.
Or they could have said,
but
we don't want the same thing to happen with Charlie McAvoy.
But if he's not even going,
it's the best thing for the Canucks for sure.
But he's not even going to play. Like, they said he just wanted to go and like be there to like support or whatever. I don't know.
And again, Jimmy wants to fly him all the way to Boston to cheerlead and then go all the way back to where are they, out west to start?
Vegas.
Vegas.
I think
not a chance. Jimmy's going to allow
I like it. I like what he did. I like that they said no if that's the case. I'm a fan of it, but I'm sure there's a couple Canucks fans that are like, well, we can maybe let him do a little bit of what he wants, Anyways, maybe a Leaf fan mentality.
Should be, what some people are calling potentially one of the best games of all time. You have 2 completely loaded rosters trying their butts off.
Trying their hardest.
Okay. We told you earlier we caught up with Eric Lindros, Olympic gold medalist in 2002. Let's throw to the Big E on his thoughts going into tonight's contest. 2 Hockey Hall of Famer and somebody that may know something about a Canada-USA matchup. Big E, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
Game time after this?
I'm good, Kyper. How are you?
We're good. So listen, I mean, your thoughts, just quickly your thoughts before we get into more specifics, your overall thoughts on expectations out of this Four Nations before it started and where we are going into tonight's contest.
Expectations. I thought it would be good. I mean, if you don't have these things for a long time, it builds. That's the special part of it. I thought Montreal did a great job opening night. I thought it was electric. It's been exciting hockey. It's been everything. You've seen it all. It's had absolutely everything, and it's capping off tonight with the two best teams, and that should be. I mean, I'm looking forward to that as well. You guys must be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But as far as the physicality that we saw in the first game Saturday night, to the patriotism that we feel going into this game, again, something that you thought that could snowball, or is this thing gone way over the top for you?
I always expected this. I don't know why anyone's shocked. I don't know why anyone's shocked when you ask a hockey player to come and represent their country and they think that it's going to be an NBA all-star approach to things. Not a chance when it comes to representing your country, and especially if you're Canadian. So no, I'm not shocked at all. I think it's they've played well, and they got a shot at it. It's one game, and they've done everything so far fairly well, and they've given themselves a chance to win.
Eric, how does it feel different playing in these games, wearing the Canada sweater, playing these sort of single game eliminations than being a part of a team, being in a playoff series maybe?
Yeah, they're quick, right? Adjustments are really quick. I think that a lot of credit needs to go to the video guys and finding, they're putting things together before little bits here and there on what to expect. And the teams are changing constantly. That's why you've got such great coaching there. Is they're seeing things, they're reacting. They're not waiting till midway through the end of a period. There's no time. They're making changes within the 20 minutes of the period and switching things up right away. And they're everything from how the style and then maybe obviously the line changes here and there as well. So no, it happens quick. It's over in a blink, and boy, is it ever exciting.
Off of that, comparing maybe a game like tonight, or in general just representing your country, or representing the Philadelphia Flyers in a Stanley Cup final. Can you compare the type of pressure is on one and the other? Is there any way that you could, put into words what that feels like when you're dealing with those different type of pressure?
I don't think you differentiate. I think they're all massive games. They're just great big games, and you just kind of go back to your routine, and I don't know. I always thought, that scene in Hoosiers where I think it was Gene Hackman comes out and he takes the measuring tape and he goes underneath the rim, and the rim's the same height as back home. You remember that?
I love that. I absolutely love that scene.
That's where you kind of ground yourself, and it's a big game, but you got to go out and play, and you got to go out and do what your your responsibilities. Every little thing. You've mentally prepared yourself for anything that can go on, and every situation. You've done your homework with what the coaches have asked of you. Now it's just time to go out and perform. And it's a big game, but it's still a game, and it's going to be exciting.
Does having played for Canada make you more attached to these results? Like, how invested are you now? Or do you feel like someone who's like, I've already gone to war and fought my battle? Where's your emotional state?
For everybody. I don't care if it's World Juniors, U16, or I don't know. If they have anything at U16, but anytime Canada goes to play at any level, I think we're all cheering for Canada, and there's no question that the higher up the totem pole things go, the more invested we all are, in hopes of success.
Did Saturday night's contest remind you of maybe 1996 between the two respective countries playing against each other? I just remember a very vicious series back then, Eric, that you were a part of.
It was a heavy series. It didn't have the opening 3 minutes or three fights rather. But no, it was heavy. Yeah, it was. We were in the last one. I think was in Montreal, and we were. Geez, we were right up. We were. I think we were leading going into the third. I think we were in good shape. We're close. I mean, again, these things happen so fast. Things change quickly, and in the case of one period of hockey, we went from being up and then heading home as second place finisher. So it was it was disappointing, but it was, as I recall, it was extremely it was physical. The whole thing was physical. The U.S. had Johnny Leclerc and Guerin and they had a pretty big lineup. Hatcher and they were big. They were heavy, and they played that way.
As you did, but when you look down your roster and you see some guys that aren't really built to play that type of game, or their comfort zone isn't really in that environment, is that something that you notice as a teammate? Or is that possibly a scenario tonight where you look down Canada's lineup, or the U.S. looks down their lineup and goes, okay, this guy can play this way, but this guy can't?
Well, I think everyone can play to a certain extent anything that your coach is asking you to do. Everyone can get in the way of somebody. Everyone can, explode through their legs and give somebody a pop. I mean, Bennett pushes back so hard and so well, and he's a huge force out there. The Tampa line's been great. Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone's capable of doing it from time to time, and actually all the time. It's just a matter of what you're being asked and going out and doing what's being asked. We're not sure what's being asked, right? We're not in the room, Kyper, as you know, and Jason. So it's you can be asked, and you're all capable of doing it. It's lining somebody up is not that tricky.
Eric, how do you feel about the evolution of American hockey? And, they like to say that they've caught us. Most of us here don't think they're there yet, but they've certainly made strides, haven't they?
They certainly have. I think we talk about academies and the way that they're going in that direction. It's something that we should, possibly be looking at. Who knows? Who knows? It's I'm just getting started here in minor hockey with my kids, and it's been extremely eye-opening. I'll say that with what goes on and how this all works, and where the emphasis are. And I think if there's one thing that we can all agree on, is that everyone in this tournament, every player in this tournament that's there, they all skate extremely well. They are all powerful skaters, and without the skating, I don't think anyone's got a chance to even be considered for a roster spot. So I think that's one thing we all can agree to.
Whether it's your kids, their friends, fair-weathered fans, do you think this week has a real chance to add some growth to our game to take it to another level?
I think so. I think they've done a great job with it. I think it's exciting. Certainly the holding back for 9-10 years, and now we've got something that hopefully doesn't have to happen again. But if we do it every 2 years, does it change things? It might dilute it somewhat in terms of excitement. But let's just look at this for what it is today and the excitement that it brings today, and what it does for Canada, and how it's I think it's brought our country together in a sense. And at a special time too. I love it. I just love it, and I hope we pull it out.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. I think it's very likely that we get a close game tonight. A lot of these games tend to be low scoring. Do you feel that the net front game, it makes a big difference in these? Like a lot of parking at the net, rebounds, banging at goalies, or do you think that the skill still wins and we'll see some great passing and skating out there?
I think you see both, but when it gets right down to it, what they're doing, I think with certainly McDavid and McKinnon is, they're wedge and they're keeping them wide. So entries are wide. That's old school. I don't know if you're going to see a whole lot through the middle, and everything seems to happen. Kyper scored. How many goals you score in front of the net, whether you're in North Bay or with the Rangers, Kyper?
Yeah, about 90% of them.
Net, right?
Yeah.
So there's not many. If you look back in terms of highlight goals and things like that, apart from maybe Mario letting the pass go through his legs. I don't think you see too many highlight goals that are that occur in these types of games. They're mostly they're not always pretty, but they're effective and they count nonetheless. So it's kind of goes back to the old school and the meat and potatoes where things happen is usually in front of the net and lots of action and chaos.
Could that be frustrating for a guy like Connor McDavid or McKinnon, who are just used to maybe going 1,000 miles an hour through the neutral zone and not having it closed off as quickly? Is there a sense that the Americans can do what they did Saturday night in the third period and just completely close it off? Is that tough for a star player?
I mean, I don't know what's going through. I would assume it is. Yeah, I think you would assume it is as well. But but you find a way, right, Kyper? You like if Plan A is not working, what are we gonna do? And because there's no way we're gonna look at this and just give up. I mean, we got to come up with another solution, and I'm sure that they've talked about it. Going back to the video guys and all the planning that goes into it. It's coaches set up the game plan and. They're gonna have something organized, but that's gonna they'll look at their bench and they're gonna put them in the best possible position and give the best situation or system for them to go and achieve, looking at what they have.
Where do you feel like Canada's advantages lie here tonight? Do we have the leg up anywhere? Or do you see this being a coin toss?
I think it's going to be tight for sure. I think it's going to be tight. But I just feel in my heart that there's something special that our group is going to pull out. I just have this feeling that it's going to be a great night.
Nice.
One more for me, E, and that's just the room tonight, led by Sidney Crosby. He's the guy that's I got to think teammates are going to be leaning on towards tonight. I recall I'm not even sure you were 18 at the time when you first experienced Team Canada in 91, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And maybe who in the dressing room you kind of looked at or leaned towards to get your feel around international hockey at the NHL level?
It's interesting because it's and a lot of these, it's very quiet. They're all, when I was going through it, Dirk Graham was a big voice in our room. And when you with anytime there was it wasn't always roses with Mike Keenan in there, so it was Dirk Graham was in there, was a big influence. Steve Larmer was a huge influence in 91. I mean, there's always, like, everywhere. If you look around that room, they're all captains, assistant captains of their respective teams, right? Many of them. They're professionals. They know what to do. They know how to go about it. And you look within, and you look beside you, and you feel confident with the group that you've got to go to war with. And the game is tonight. It's only one game, and let's just give it our all and do what we can, and no regrets.
Maybe John Cooper pulls out a measuring tape and measures the boards and the rink and the net behind the
4x6.
4x6, baby. Woo!
Total Hoosiers moment.
The little Hoosier moment. Nothing changes. Let's go play.
Enjoy your night, the big game, and we'll all be cheering. Thanks for doing this, man.
All right, see you, Kyper. See you guys.
Thanks so much.
Olympic gold medalist in 2002. A couple things that stood out for me. Number one is what you probably dreaded hearing. Doesn't expect any highlight goals.
Yeah.
The middle, taken away. A bounce in front of the net.
Buddy,
more often.
It's Mark Stone and Chris Kreider time out there, I'm telling you.
I mean,
but that speaks to me. Like, Saturday night half the game had Tortorella's fingerprints all over it. Just everything on the outside, nothing in the middle.
I mean, the U.S. is probably the slightly less offensively talented team. You would expect them to pack it in, try to keep the Canadians to the outside.
Yeah. The other thing that stood out for me with Eric is the fact that everybody is capable of coming out of their comfort zone. And he says everybody can get in the way of somebody. And it's true. That's where I think Canada kind of let themselves down a little bit in the back half of Saturday night. and everybody's got to be all in.
Yeah. No kidding.
You know, and that goes for the USA team too. I watched Jack Hughes, and Jack Hughes didn't get to act like Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils Saturday night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a different brand of hockey where there's not room. There's not room to have the puck for long.
And just to your point about the ugly goals, I think back to the 2010 gold medal game. All the goals were, Perry scored one where it just bounced on his stick in the slot.
Jerome
it
had
home.
2, didn't he?
No, Jerome had none. It was Taves scored.
Which year, sorry?
2010.
Oh, 2010.
Yeah, 2002,
2002
yes.
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Sorry.
And he had a rather big assist in overtime.
Yep.
But the goals were just Taves bangs went in along the end along the goal line. Perry hammers one in from the slot, no high, and then the one in overtime. Yeah. Theirs were both tricklers. It's not gonna be a pretty one tonight in terms of the goal. Maybe. I mean,
Connor is out there, so
it's pretty pretty.
Hey, sorry, I know you want to do game time, but before that, have you heard Nathan McKinnon repeatedly referring to Connor McDavid as the best player in the world?
Yeah, because he is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but and someone even asked him, why do you keep saying that McKinnon won the MVP trophy last year? He's favored to win it this year. Why do you keep calling McDavid the MVP or the best player in the world? And he was like, watch him. Watch him.
You need to ask.
Yeah, he honestly was like, I can't believe you need to ask that. Watch him. Anyway.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Anyways, it's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So Bourne wanted me to bring this number up. I don't know why he wants this for my mental health. He's a really bad friend. But I guess a tie in this game, a.k.a. it goes to overtime. And Bourne was wanting to know what that number was. When I checked this morning, that number was plus 300.
Yeah.
So if you think this game has a
bet
chance to
$10,
go to overtime,
win 40 if it goes to overtime. You could make a worse bet than that.
I don't know if I can.
Nobody needs overtime.
No, Sam couldn't handle it.
Overtime is not.
No, the players don't need it. They've got. There's 28 games Saturday.
No one cares about the Saturday games. No one cares about the rest of the games.
Guys care. Guys care.
Not as much as they care about this game.
Teams
care for sure.
And by the way, go ahead. You finish.
And the other thing that I'll bring up is I didn't do it on Saturday night. And this is something that I've always been a fan of in really big games. A lot of money on the Leafs in these games. Betting against the Leafs. Happiness hedge for anyone listening. You put a big bet on the American money line. You're at least compensated for extreme heartbreak. I can't recommend it enough.
You're like a passenger on Delta. They'll give you a bunch of money for your hardship.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're feeling really worried about this game, if you want a little bit of compensation, just put a little money line bet on
really
Americans.
Boggles my mind that you have to give your money away to feel good.
The question
it
is,
could be
Kyper,
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
How much would I pay for Canada to win this game? And that's the question I have to ask myself, and that's the question I'm not going to tell my wife. I hope she's not listening. Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Jeremy Roenick just texted me back, so we're going to hit the break.
Okay, we're going to hit the break, and when we return, we'll give it. We've had Scott Niedermayer, Hall of Famer. We've had Eric Lindros, Hall of Famer. Canadian flavor. We'll go to the U.S. flavor with Jeremy Roenick.
It's flavorful.
From Boston. You're not going to want to miss this one. We're back after these words. All right, no accident. We left the fireworks for the last part of our show. Let's welcome in Hockey Hall of Famer, USA hockey legend, Jeremy Roenick. JR, how are you, pal? You ready?
I'm great, Kyper. Great to be with you, man. Great to be here with you. I love it. What a great night it's going to be.
It is. So, listen, I mean, you throughout your amazing career, you were an Olympian. You've participated in Canada Cups, World Cups. How does something like tonight compare?
Well, seeing as we haven't had this level of hockey in almost 10 years in our nation's colors, I think this is as exciting and as excited as I've been to watch a hockey game in a long time. We know what this means to each country, Kyper. We talk about the powerful nations. Obviously, hockey is Canada's game, and us in the United States have been trying to chase down that mantra for a long time. And what's happening in USA Hockey, what we've done in the World Juniors, it's another chapter of great hockey and this great rivalry that we know is going to be exciting. Look what happened Saturday. Who would have thought that would have happened, but we did. And now with everything that's going on in our countries, with the political landscape, with Donald Trump talking about 51st state, with the booing of the national anthem and the Kachucks and the Sam Bennett's, this is a great matchup. This is what we want in hockey. I'm just shocked that it's in February in the middle of an NHL season.
So let me ask you, with the call from the President of the United States, first of all, as you represented the USA, did you ever talk to the President during a tournament? And if so, what as far as his call today, I'm going to give you three choices. You tell me what comes to the top of your head here. Extra motivation for the USA team, extra pressure on the USA team, or billboard material for Canada?
Definitely the first two. There's no question. But would it surprise you if I said it doesn't surprise me that Donald Trump get a word in on something, on anything, especially something of this magnitude? Yes, he's going to have his say. He's going to be involved in some way. I mean, we all see how he feels about America. He's going to boast. He's going to do whatever he can to get things going. I think no question in that locker room, just hearing his voice, like, that's the President of the United States. I don't care if you like him or you don't like him. If anything, if I was in that locker room and President Obama called, I wasn't a big Obama fan, but I would have been pumped up. I would have been just so excited. And I would think anybody should be the same. That's the president that's rooting on your country. So there's no question that's a motivation factor. I don't think the pressure is anymore, because they know what U.S. versus Canada is. And they know that it is the only game in North America tonight that is the main game maybe in the decade of hockey. There'd be more people watching this game than watch any other game in decades. And that's exciting for me. And I will say, if USA wins or Canada wins, it's great for their countries. But you know who wins in this? It's hockey. Hockey wins in this situation because it's on the top minds of everybody, and that's what I love.
JR, maybe no hockey player would have maybe better built for the first time these two teams played than you. That would have been right up your alley. I feel like you would have loved it. So tonight they go at it a second time. Is there, if you were in this game, would you want to start the game physically similarly to last time, or would there be more of a focus on the puck and actually trying to shoot it in the net?
Oh, man, I think this game has been so hyped. It would be really hard not to start with a physical bang. But it is the last game. It is the final. You should be putting the game to winning the game. There's no question about that. But again, the pride is on the line. You can see some of the jabs being sent forth and back and forth. Hagel saying, that Matthew Tkachuk only fights for the camera. He doesn't fight for his colors, for his country. Those are fighting words. And it's not going to be surprising to me if they start the same way. However, they do have to play a game, and winning this game is very important. And I will say the U.S. is banged up a little bit. There's no question they have some injuries, more so than Canada. They lost McAvoy, which is a huge loss in the backside. And they're looking at probably one of the best teams ever put on paper since the 87 Canada Cup, right? So, I would be nervous, but it's going to be great.
So the Kachucks, they set the tone. They put Canada on the heels. Canada stood up, but they were the ones that were reactive, not proactive. What do you expect in the first seconds of puck drop? Who takes on the message early here?
Yeah, well, there's no question. I think you're going to see the same actors, because there's no way that the Kachucks aren't going to be involved in stirring the pot. That's what they do best. They do it better than anybody else. There's no question that Sam Bennett is going to be in there. Not many players do it like he does. I would be very surprised if those guys weren't on the ice for the first face-off. And they are going to jaw each other right before that puck is going to be dropped. But, I hope a couple things. I hope that the national anthems go with tremendous amount of respect. I hope they play a real good, hard-hitting hockey game that is fair. Get a couple good fights in there. That's usually the case between USA and Canada. And God, there's so much riding. There's so much riding on Canada. Listen, USA has taken a big leap in their development programs. We're doing better. There's more NHL players that come from the U.S. than ever before in the National Hockey League. And Canada, if you think about it, they've taken a little bit of a step down in terms of their dominance. And you could disagree with me or not, but I think this will be a good way to keep Canada's game and not give USA the opportunity to say, you guys were has-beens, it's us now. That would be a crazy thing, but it's still Canada's game, but we need to win tonight to get a little bit more dominance in this sport.
JR, how do you weigh your international hockey memories compared to your NHL memories?
It was much different. Obviously, you're playing for 300 million people rather than just a city of 10 or 15 million. You have more eyes on you. You have more expectations. You're a smaller phenomenon in the big scheme of things, right? You have millions of kids, millions of people that can be playing in a team, and you're one of 20. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. So, and you want to do your best for your country. It's a different mind frame. And this is why you're seeing this physical brand of hockey in a short 4-game tournament in the middle of an NHL season that you could get 5 games and not see as many fights as we saw on Saturday. I mean, that's what it means to them. They're physical, they're hitting, they're engaged, they're jawing at each other. We've seen more intensity in 4 games of this tournament, or 6 games, or however many games in this tournament. Even the Finns and Swedes play the same way than we've seen in most games in the National Hockey League. And I just think it's a great representation of what the National Hockey League can bring. And I think this whole tournament has been a huge success.
I love watching some players that may need to come out of their comfort zone on a game like tonight, right? And sometimes you watch games and it's not as passionate or as physical, and guys can get their points. And then you watch a game like Saturday night or possibly tonight when things are awfully tight. Give me a couple of names that you think have been rather quiet but could step up tonight.
Well, for me, Austin Matthews pops off the chart on me right now. Pops right off the page for the Americans. Obviously, he's bought into the kind of patient defensive style of game that Mike Sullivan thinks that his team needs to play in order to be successful. He has to have a big night. There's no question about it. So I'm going to look at Austin Matthews on the USA side. On the other side, with the exception of the goal, I think Brad Marchand's been very quiet. He's one of those guys that can really instigate, get underneath people's skin, plays physical, is a big game, big goal scorer type mentality that he can be. I think look for him to be more engaged in a game like tonight. I think McKinnon, he's had brilliant, flashes of brilliance, but I don't think he's been the great McKinnon that we've watched this year, who's leading the league in points. So I'm going to see how the big stage is accepted by some of these guys there's so much pressure on, that make so much money in the National Hockey League. But none more important for the U.S. than Austin Matthews. He's got to find a way to put the puck in the net, whether it's on the power play or find some open ice. But the team, I don't think, wins unless Austin Matthews has his footprint into this game.
Well, we're looking to a lot of fun tonight, JR, and we really appreciate you making time for us, man. I know
I came to a nice quiet spot in the hotel to make sure I had time for you, Kyper, and you, Morty. I said, no way I'm going to not have the opportunity to talk to my great fans in Canada. And by the way, can I just say, listen, I don't like that the USA anthem got booed. I don't like it. I understand it. I totally get it. I think, you Canadians up there are proud people, man. You love your sport. You're proud Canadians. I wouldn't think you want to be the 51st state either. I totally understand it, but I still want USA to win. So that's my take.
Fair enough. Thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Spread that word around down there, would you? Right? Let them know. Let them know that we don't like it.
I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be in the garden tonight saying, no, I'm listening to the effing song.
Great stuff, JR. Have fun tonight, pal.
Okay, bye. See you later.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Hockey Hall of Famer and U.S. hockey legend Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah, the Canadian anthem definitely getting booed tonight, hey?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean,
that's fine.
Totally fine.
Whatever.
See, can't a few players, current players, say what he just said? Is that so hard?
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. It would have been nice to hear from someone instead of,
No comment.
Trump fuel tonight. We're super powered now.
I mean, Hannafin was saying that like they're doing it for Trump. Like there's got like JT Miller's horned up about Trump. They're all really. There's a few guys that they want to win it for Trump, and I guess hey, they voted for him. It's their prerogative.
Yeah, 70 million people there didn't vote for him too. So there's a little bit of both.
I'm glad. I love JR, but just. That went great. That went great. You never know. You never know.
You were worried?
Well, listen, when he said, one more thing and started in on Canada, that was
No.
What a sweet guy.
He's no dummy. Like he knows where we are and who our audience are.
Yeah.
I got the feeling from that JR has gone through a lot. And we know the stories and we know everything that he's gone through with hockey and some of it very bad and all the stuff that he's been in the spotlight for. That to me just seemed like a genuinely happy, excited guy who finally got into the Hall of Fame, going to this hockey game tonight, USA.
Buddy,
it's kind of his super. But
just because you're stressed doesn't mean it's not going to rule.
No, like he seemed really, and like having him there.
Perspective.
Bingo. That was awesome. Yeah. That was awesome. And that guy.
I get all of that. I just like it could just be a bounce here, and it is sport.
Yeah.
So
and hockey's the stupidest of them in that regard.
Hopefully, it bounces off there, buddy.
It would really help us.
Yeah.
I don't know what sacrifice we need to make to the hockey gods, but hey, if you're up there this time, we need you.
Please, baby. I had to believe there's a drop of me. Just win.
Yeah.
Just win.
Just win.
Please win.
There it is. Just
win.
win.
There it is.
Any clips you want to squeeze in?
We do have some Cooper.
So I cut this clip and, you were talking about the in-tournament perspective, and I'd be interested to get your opinion. I'm hesitant to even play it, but can we get the clip 5 Cooper on the fans in Boston?
There's probably going to be more Canadians here than there were Americans in Montreal, if that made any sense. And so, I think in that regard, there might be, hotly contested on the ice, and there could be chants going on in the stands. And but we're here to celebrate the sport, and we can sit here and talk politics all we want. This is a different avenue, and for me, we're here to celebrate a game, and if after this game, all the little girls out there and boys out there that are inspired by the players that play this game and how they compete, and if they, after watching tonight, go and become hockey players, that's the real win, not who wins on the ice.
Tell you what, the real winner here is the city of Portland. Every time I come here, it gets harder to leave.
Must be something in the water.
That's just.
It's the biggest game. It's a blood feud. It's a big win here, as if little boys and girls love hockey. No, it's not the big win.
Zoom out, Sam.
Coop.
Zoom out.
It is not the big win.
We need them to grow up more like Tom Wilson. That's all.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if they watch this game and get inspired to play, and I was like, my daughter's feisty. I don't know how many people are going to love the way the last game started for their 5-year-old daughters.
Hey, if there's a little boy or girl that watches the start of that game and they, like you said, get inspired to play like Tom Wilson or the Kachucks and they're Canadian.
Bring it on.
I would really love a goalie to get inspired tonight.
Yeah.
I'd really love. I was playing shinny the other morning and there was a kid there. He's like, "Oh, I'm usually a goalie. I'm like, you any good?" He's like, "Yeah, I played AAA." I'm like, "Well, you gonna play for Canada soon? Because boy, we need you."
Yeah, we need like a Bennington, like 2 pad stack glove save or something to inspire a couple of kids.
Yeah,
a couple of French kids ideally.
Yeah,
Can we get the cue?
Sorry, not to call it Quebec.
Used to be our goalie
What
factory.
happened?
He's made a couple.
He has
made a couple.
Made a
Yeah,
couple
he's
of
actually
those
made some
saves.
really big saves. Unfortunately, a couple squeakers, but
Specifically, if you go back to the Sweden game, where he let in the stinker against Kempe, they tie the game late. You go into that overtime, and Mitch Marner ends up scoring the winner in 3-on-3. One of the big reasons they're in the finals, and we can talk about other parts of the tournament with him. One of the big reasons they're in the final too is Bennington was unbelievable in that 3-on-3 overtime. The amount of cross crease saves he made. He is a squirrely gamer. He'll let in a bad one, but he'll make a big save. It's just not the most comfortable
Abby
experience.
says, don't tell me the odds. I don't want percentages. I don't want your numbers. Give me the vibes.
This is uncomfortable. Cooper must have some feeling that there's going to be a lot of Canadians
In the
building.
I do feel like we won't be able to rival Montreal because not everyone's pulling in the same direction. I feel like it'll be a little, but you should have a more consistent sort of roar.
Yeah.
As someone's always cheering for something.
I think JR mentioned it. McAvoy does take away a presence back there for
Yeah, I think
US.
yesterday you said that his hit on McDavid and then subsequent hit on McDavid and then subsequent hit on Crosby kind of started to turn the tone.
Yeah.
You even saw that clip. I don't know. I mean, I watched it barely, but there's a clip of Brady Tkachuk being like, that was all Charlie. He set the tone. He set the tone. It's like, I mean, I almost barfed the second I finished watching it, but there is a point of that.
Brady seems to know
The other one
Oh, yeah.
I find myself kind of missing now for Team Canada is a Shea Weber.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good.
I'll take Cale Makar, thanks.
We used to have both.
Different players, though.
Yeah.
We used to have both
Not-
kind of guys.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm saying that you have Cale Makar, but you're missing a Shea Weber.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That physical presence.
But
that
let's be
guy,
real. They don't have Shea Weber either.
There
Not
is a-
even close.
McAvoy looked like Shea Weber to me Saturday
He was
night.
Shea Weber's younger brother at best.
Lighter,
Yeah.
younger brother.
Yeah.
Can I say that if there's, and I don't
Light.
want to be negative going into this game because positivity. But if there's one part of Team Canada's identity that from years past to now, I think what's missing is we have an unbelievable skilled defensive core. We do. But like having the just big, mean mutant guy,
Pronger,
the Pronger,
Shea Weber,
the Foots of the world,
Scott
the
Stevens at times.
Rob Blakes.
He
Like
scored once in the last game.
Who?
Canada
No,
against
I'm just
the US.
I'm just saying, like, as a bigger picture
Buddy.
thing,
Yeah.
we used to have the meanest
Get your
it's
head, get your head off skill and get it
a
in.
Canadian,
Get it in the gutter.
It's about
insane
one kick.
Canadian conclusion to be like, you know what we missed in that game? We lost 2-1. More a hit.
We're going bloodbath tonight.
Dummies.
Come on.
Couple of
It's
dummies.
about identity, Barney. It's
Exactly.
about identity. Can't beat him on the score sheet, beat him in the streets.
We cannot
That's
have,
a loser's attitude.
For sure.
Beat him on the scoreboard, please.
can't have that middle shutting down completely tonight.
Yeah.
No,
So?
it's not gonna.
What are we thinking tonight, boys? We got to need some detailed predictions.
I'm not going against Canada.
I think there's going to be a few more special teams. There hasn't been much
Power
of that
play.
at all.
You think?
I think
you think the word is a couple power plays early to settle them down?
I do. I think the refs are aware that the last time these two played, it was a little squirrely. And I think there'll be some, hey, we're not doing that early sort of stuff.
Or they can just get the hell out of the way.
Sounds pretty good, too.
I think the general managers around the league would be like, no, call it tight.
yeah.
I don't think you should get out of the way, refs.
Yeah, go ahead and call
There's
the
got to
rule
be
book.
some teams
Oh my
freaking out
God.
right now.
How's Stan Bowman watching this game tonight? How's
Watching Connor
how's
get run.
Joe Sakic watching? Well, I mean, he's played for Canada. He's probably pretty excited, but like watching that, like it's gonna be so.
We know how Boston's watching tonight.
Score prediction.
3-2 Canada.
Yeah, listen, it's the safest answer, and I'm taking it too. Yeah, okay, 3-2. All aboard?
Because I picked them to win last time and they lost, I'll say the States win.
Oh, you.
Now you're hedging. We don't.
Who am I kidding? Canada 5-1.
Yeah, there he is. Let's go.
All right, just like that. 2 hours gone. Fastest
What a show, boys.
show in hockey.
I can't believe we got to wait 2 more hours till puck drop.
2 hours before puck drop. Our thanks to Eric Lindros, Scott Niedermayer, and Jeremy Roenick for their thoughts on tonight's big game. Wherever you're watching, have a good time with your family, friends, and remember, it's just a sport.
Oh, come on.
No, Sammy?
Aboo.
Win, baby, win!